Good evening. Welcome to this latest edition of Doorway to the Paintings. I have a really interesting painting to show you. Actually, two. This painting here is one of my favorite paintings. There's a lot of inspiration that went into this. I really like the lightning. I like the primitive and primal look to this painting. I really like the background. I like the lightning, the blue color. This is one of my trademark style paintings. I got a lot of paintings like this that are similar to this one, but this is one of the originals. Really, it's one of my personal favorites. And here's another one that's just similar to it, very much like the one I just showed you. These are two of my favorites. They're very similar, but then they have significant differences too. I'm going to go through some of the inspirations behind these paintings, and I'll deal with this painting primarily tonight, and I'll show a little bit of the other one. Maybe I'll do a separate video with the other one in the future. I don't know yet, but tonight I'm going to focus on this one and then a little bit of the other one. So why don't we get started, guys? Yeah, this is really one of my personal paintings that I hold near and dear. I never wanted this to be too realistic because then it would lose some of its charm. And I have a lot of paintings that are more realistic than this, but then I couldn't get the type of face that I wanted. If I made it too realistic, I couldn't get the dark outline to his body. I couldn't get some of the unique shapes and unique aspects to a lot of this painting. Definitely, I mean, there's no red outline in real life, but I wanted to put that red on top of this black mountain. The other painting doesn't have that, but in this painting here I wanted to mix the red and black, and there's a little bit of that in the other painting I'll show you soon. But gosh, there's my ancient pillars again, my ancient columns. I love putting those in my paintings, and this one here really has a unique set of columns. The people are very small compared to these tall columns. I think it gives them more of an awe-inspiring look. The lightning, and subconsciously and then consciously, there's inspirations behind these paintings. One of the inspirations for the desert, one of them, I already thought about painting bushes and then the desert, but one of the inspirations was Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, actually, where the school bus, Freddy drives the school bus into the desert, and then there's lightning in the background. And I was going to put lightning anyway, but that movie was definitely on my mind. I put this lightning in there. And of course it's blue. The desert's blue. In the movie it was brown desert. Yeah, I like the rain. The chaotic look. A lot of people look at this painting as scary, and it is. I'm not scared by it. I'm not scared by it at all. But I don't need to be scared by it to admit that it is a somewhat scary painting. But that's kind of the beauty of it too, and that kind of gives it that sense of awe. And yeah, those pillars with the rain and the lightning, something about that, it gives it depth. And the thing I really love is the structures and columns in the background, past the pillars, beyond them. Really enjoy that, really do. And the characters, yeah, these characters can fit into like ancient Greece or Rome, or even Celtic legend, Celtic history, like the Druids. But yeah, a little bit of Nightmare on Elm Street too. I thought about that when I painted this with the bushes and the desert. That movie I like, it grew on me. When it first came out, I liked it, but I liked it better later. And it's actually my third favorite Nightmare now. I like part 1, and then I like part 7, the new Nightmare, and then part 2. Part 3 used to be my favorite, but I kept going back to the original. Then I went to part 7. Now part 2 grew on me. But I still like the original. And by the way, this red and black thingamajig here, it's a it is maybe possibly controlling the weather. Maybe it's making a monsoon, tornadoes, lightning, rain, maybe an earthquake, who knows. But the reason it's red and black is because I think subconsciously, and then also later on a conscious level, I really liked the opening to New Line Cinema when they first came out. That New Line Cinema, the black screen, and then the red sketchy lights, the red sketchy lines, I should say, in the middle of the black screen. And then it developed into New Line Cinema, and then sequentially it went New Line Cinema, black and red. That's where this comes from. It doesn't look like it at all, but this one does. This one kind of does in a way. I don't know which painting I like better. The other one is the original, but this one is good too. I might do a separate video on this one in the future, but I really enjoy this one. I like it. I like the lightning in between the pillars. It doesn't have that. It's not there in the original, see? It's just off to the side. Really like it though. I can't really pick which painting I like better. I go back and forth. This one here is essentially the same painting, but with differences, significant differences. Here you see the structures collapsing. Here you have the lightning in between the columns. I love that. Really like that part to this painting. And then the people, it's almost like they're phantoms, almost like they're not even there. It's like ghosts or shadows of the past, of an ancient civilization that once existed. But yes, the lightning there. Got this red on black. Maybe this device is creating an earthquake or bad weather. Got the red and black like New Line Cinema. When I was 7 years old, I was taken to the theater to see a double feature. The first movie was Nightmare on Elm Street Part 1 at nighttime. The second was the first Evil Dead with Bruce Campbell. Those were... what a night. What a night. My uncle, when he saw Freddy Krueger coming around the corner and his arms stretched out in both directions in that alley, my uncle, he left the theater. And he's a tough guy too. He had a reputation for being tough, but he's the kind of guy who will see a scary movie and like 1 or 2 weeks later he'll have a night terror, a horrible nightmare. So he wanted to avoid any further damage to the psyche. But it was a fun time, fun night. I would never take my kid to see those movies at that age, but that was my experience, and they became 2 of my favorite movies, Nightmare 1 and Evil Dead. But that's where that comes from, the red and black. And that Nightmare on Elm Street, that's one of my favorite movies. Wes Craven, master director. I think he's one of the best directors of all time, along with John Carpenter, and great actors in that movie. Heather Langenkamp always does a beautiful job. Robert Englund, He's the modern day Boris Karloff, Bela Lugosi, Vincent Price kind of rolled up into one. John Saxon did a great job in there. All of them did. Nick Corey, everyone fit their parts really well. And then speaking of Halloween and John Carpenter, one of my favorite directors, Halloween was also an influence on this because of the courtyard, the beginning of the movie where the patients were broken out by Michael Myers, and then Dr. Loomis, played by the late great Donald Pleasance. They drove up to the hospital and it was raining at night. You could see the patients out in the courtyard, out in the grass at night, and it was dark and there was lightning, and they had their hospital gowns on. That was in my mind when I painted this. They didn't have robes on. This is more of an ancient garb here, but it reminded me of that, and that was one of the inspirations for this painting. And I kind of made this character look like Michael Myers, maybe not so much the mask he wore, but under the mask, when Jamie Lee Curtis at the end of the movie took off his mask before Loomis shot him. That's what I was trying to go with this face here, but in a way it kind of ended up looking like both, the guy under the mask and the actual mask, which I tried to make it look more like the guy under the mask, kind of maybe like an ancient Michael Myers. But yeah, these buildings, and yeah, great movie, great director, great actors. Jamie Lee Curtis did a great job. Yeah, these pillars here are always inspired by ancient Greece and Rome and other cultures, different structures, but I think Halloween 3 at the beginning, one of my favorite scenes is where, I'll probably get into that in a future video though, but where the guy has the mask and he's running from Cochrane's henchmen, and he's running under the overpass, and they got these big columns holding up the overpass. I think about that when I paint my columns, because that's one of my favorite scenes with the music, and he's running towards the camera. One of my favorite scenes in the movie. Yeah, this, oof. And this has just black mountains, which sometimes I like better. Here's the red on the black, just so I can have my red and black effect again, but I always wanted dark mountains too, because it gives it more of a kind of a scary look. Another thing I liked about those older movies, including the Evil Dead series too, the movies, is the aspect of a good character fighting against evil, particularly when Nancy in Nightmare on Elm Street defeated Freddy. The force of good won against evil. I like movies or stories where you got a evil, interesting character, and you want that. That's great for storytelling, but at the end the character's defeated by a force of good. And then also in Halloween too, with Jamie Lee Curtis and Donald Pleasance. And but leave openings in your stories. Always leave an opening, so if you want to do a sequel, unless you don't want to do it, so they can keep coming back and you have your interesting characters coming back. But yeah, this is one of many paintings. I have many paintings like this. Yeah, there's a lot of movies and stories, and especially movies and television shows I grew up with that have inspired me to paint. And then also ancient myths and legends are a heavy influence on me, just like I was talking about with the frost giant in a past video. I don't know which painting I like better. I like them both. Let's zoom in a little bit. Look at that lightning. Oof, I love it. The pillars. And showcasing this painting tonight. One of my favorites. Yeah, if I had my fantasy, I would make my paintings fit the direction of certain directors that I really like. Like if I chose directors to direct a painting or a story that I created, I would sure like John Carpenter or the late great Wes Craven to direct stories that derive from my paintings or my stories or whatever. I'm not going to direct it myself. I just paint. I can make short stories, but I'm not interested in writing. I'm interested in creating paintings that can be turned into stories or movies or books or stuff like that. Not that that's what I'm not setting out to do that, but I always thought, you know how they say picture's worth 1,000 words. I hope my painting here and my other paintings are each worth many stories. Many words and many stories. I really hope you like looking at these paintings with me tonight. I enjoyed painting them. I painted this one probably about 15, maybe 14 years ago or 13 years. Could have been 12 years ago. I can't remember. And then the other one was probably 6 to 7 years ago. But I hope you like looking at these with me tonight on this latest edition of Doorway to the Paintings. Please join me next time, and if you feel like it, hit the subscribe button and the like button. And have a good night, you guys, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.